Hey, it's Angela here. Are you a woman in her 40s or 50s, which I like to call your second act? And you might be in this unique junction, which is an amazing time in your life, but you might be asking the question, what's next? You may be wanting some more meaning and purpose in your life. You might be wanting to figure out exactly what you want to do. Would it surprise you that most women at this age don't really know what they want for the rest of their lives? And that's because they've been so focused on everybody else. Well, guess what? I'm going to be running a masterclass and we are going to be asking that question, what's next? And I'm going to help you discover simple action steps and strategies and frameworks that have helped me along the way figure out exactly what I want to do and then put action plans together to make them become a reality. And I want to help you do that as well. So come along to my masterclass. Go to angelavassallo.com/masterclass and let's begin to launch your second act. And let's make these years your most productive years ever. I'll see you in the masterclass. Hello and welcome to the Launch Your Second Act podcast. I'm your host, Angela Vassallo, and I'm so glad you are here. I'm a businesswoman, author, entrepreneur, speaker, stepmom, and mum. I know that's a lot of hats, and I know that you wear them too. I help ambitious women just like you dream big, spark ideas, create more clarity, and kick those big ideas into action. This podcast was designed for ambitious women who are at the unique junction in their lives. I call it the second act. Women who are conquering life's transitions and are becoming the main character in their second act. It's time to rediscover what you want and how to get it. Upgrade and master your inner game and raise your standards. Hear from amazing women who have overcome, transformed, and are reclaiming their desires. Embrace this time in our lives. This is not a time to slow down. It's a call to action, to discover what you really want. I hope this podcast inspires you to amplify your belief that you are capable of achieving the epic life that you dare to envision. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to the Launch Your Second Act podcast. Today we have the amazing Clea Jones on our show. She's a successful copywriter. And I'll tell you a little bit about Clea. Now, Clea won a prize for storytelling when she was 6 years old and hasn't put a pen down ever since. And after starting her career as a journalist and a radio producer at Sydney's Radio 2UE, she digressed to the digital realm and found herself as a senior product manager for the 7 News website. Clea's second act was launched when her job was made redundant in 2015, which triggered her to start her own content creation business. Fast forward 10 years, and she is an Australian Small Business Champion Award winner and has grown her team to 3 people, including her older brother, who she gets to be the boss of and says that this will never get old. And after starting her business as a copywriter, Clea now offers content strategy, graphic design, and video editing. And she's helping small businesses to get noticed and get more leads. So welcome, Clea. It's great to have you on the show. And I know that we've known each other for a little while, so it's fabulous to have you here. And thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me and nice to see you.
You're welcome. Okay, so you are the perfect person. I've been wanting to have you on the show because there's been so much hype about ChatGPT, and you're the perfect person to help us understand the impact of AI on our businesses. I know that everyone you talk to is talking about ChatGPT and AI and content creation and how fast people are able to create content these days through being AI generated. So my first question to you, Clea, is tell me straight out the gate, is AI ruining a copywriter's business, yes or no?
Of course, I'm not going to give you 100% yes or no answer to whether AI is ruining copywriting. It has definitely changed it. And I think the perspective I can offer is if you go right back to the days when the person selling ice suddenly got replaced by the refrigerator, or
Yes.
even a little closer in history when the encyclopedia salesman suddenly found this internet thing coming in. At the
Yeah.
core, people still need to keep their food cold. People still
Yep.
want information. When it comes to copy, people still want fantastic wording that makes an impact. They're
Yes.
just getting it in a different way. So, yes, it has changed copywriting 100% for good, but the fact is people will always need fantastic, highly effective wording. It's just the
Yes.
way that we're producing that is evolving.
Absolutely. Yes, very good points. And yeah, well described, because I totally agree. You can't look, I find with ChatGPT, it's a starting point. I certainly wouldn't take the content that's generated and smack that straight onto my website on the front page. And I wouldn't put it straight onto any of my social media or my landing pages. So as great as it is, it's like everything. It can't replace somebody's personal experience, their story, who they are, and how they express themselves. So do you find that that's true? Do you find that, yes, okay, that helps you as a starting point, and that's fast tracking a lot of things for people, really? Let's put it down to that. It's really fast tracking a lot, getting that content a lot quicker, but it's definitely about making sure your messaging comes from you and not being, so AI generated. Would you agree with that?
Yes, it's a really good way to speed up the process when you use AI. A lot of people say this, it gets you off the blank page. It will give you
Yes.
lots of ideas. What I
Yes.
find so interesting about AI is that everyone's out there saying, hey, use AI, use AI, use AI, grow your business. That's
Yes.
fantastic. But if you receive an email or you see a piece of web copy or you read a blog that's obviously AI, you're
Yep.
instantly going to disengage and you're actually going to drop your perspective of that business. So the machines are
Yes.
fantastic for helping us to do our job.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, we all want to feel like we are communicating with somebody who really cares about the message that they're putting out there. And if you use AI and it doesn't reflect that you genuinely care and that you're genuinely there yourself to offer help, it's absolutely going to backfire.
Totally agree. And I'll give you an example of that. Recently, we were in the process of selling a business, and somebody who we were actually going to sell the business to responded with an email that was completely AI generated. When we read it, I was laughing so much. I said, this is ridiculous. It was so long. The content was just incredible. The copy was so long. And it was just, you could just tell it was so bad. And I know that straight away I thought, wow, that's a really intelligent person, a business person, and has gone and done that. That to me just sent this message like, wow, it's not authentic. And you become, I guess, curious about that person, but you also lose a bit of trust, because I think you think it's like, if you can't really write yourself an email and you've got to rely on that, and then it doesn't even make any sense, you'd have to be thinking that's crazy.
It looks
Would you
lazy.
agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Just slopping AI out there looks lazy, and people don't like lazy, and people don't want to communicate with a robot. So it's so important to find ways you can use it and then add your own touches. And also, this is so important, especially if you're writing blog articles, fact check, because AI makes up stories. And it can't be relied on for the information that it's sharing. So fact check, double check. When I'm researching an article, I might use AI for the framework, but I'll always go to those relevant and reliable sources, major publishers, direct quotes coming from people, statistics that have been published maybe by the Bureau of Statistics, so you can rely on them.
Yes.
ChatGPT won't always do that. So you have to be really careful about the information you're sharing as well as the messaging.
That's a really good point. And they did say that recently as well. I know they had somebody being interviewed, an AI specialist, and she said the same thing. You cannot rely on all the information that AI will generate. It's not always correct. So if you are in a position where you need, the correct facts and information, be careful of what you're putting out there, because it may not always be the case. Yeah. So
100%.
I wanted to talk to you a
it can
little bit
backfire.
about, absolutely, it can backfire. And I guess especially these days, one thing we want is, because there's so much noise out there online, your messaging needs to be so clear, but your people aren't silly. They're not stupid. They'll connect with you because they trust you and, they want to do business with you. So it's really important to be, sharing your message from you so people know who you are. And that's what I want to talk a little bit about now, messaging, because I know that you're very good at helping people cut through businesses and having their marketing online and getting their message out there. So I know with wishy-washy messaging, it just won't cut it these days. So many people online, they're doing the same thing. And it's not like anyone's created the wheel. It's a lot of people are doing a lot of the same business, but I see the ones that are really cutting through and doing well, and their offers are being sold, and they're winning online. I really find that it comes down to the clarity of their messaging. Would you say that that's what you see in somebody succeeding online?
It's very important to understand the message that you want to convey. I work with a lot of different businesses and they go, oh, we're so good at this. Oh, and we're so good at this. Oh, and we're also really good at this. And we're good at this. And they get really confused about what their 100% selling point is. And that's okay. That happens for most of us. So with messaging, I think it's important to tell people what you want them to do. It doesn't matter. You might start your message telling a story. You might start your message with a bit of a sales pitch. You might start your message with a quote. Make sure at the end you make it clear how you can help people and what you want them to do. So here's a great anecdote I saw about blah, 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 blah. If you want this, do this. It's a really good way to get over that stress of what are we going to say. Always remember what you want to ask people to do at the end and what you can offer them in part of the message as well.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because that is the thing that I really feel is that you obviously need a strategy, and the more that you can niche down, the more that you can get your messaging clear and niche down, it's really going to help you at the end of the day. And obviously good copywriting. Because I know that when you read something, it's like, especially me, like I'm the sort of person, I'll read a certain amount of copy and I'll know whether or not I'm going to engage with that, or I'm going to purchase that person's, online course, or if I'm going to move forward with it. I'm a quick thinker. I'll just say, yeah, that message is exactly what I need, and I'm going to, move forward with that. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck. I know for me as well, getting my messaging very clear, having clarity on it, so you can, what, when you put it out there, your copyright is so good that, and the people can engage with it and say, yeah, I'm going to go from here and I'm going to move into purchasing with that person. What are some of the tips that you could give somebody starting out in business that they could get clear on their messaging and they're getting good copyright out there for people to understand their message?
I think that there's some touch points that are good to touch on. The first thing you need to do, it depends, of course, what kind of copy you're presenting and your strategy for your copy. So your social media posts will be different to your website copy, which will be different a little bit to your newsletter, which will be different to your longer blog articles. The first thing to think about is capturing these people's interests. You need to make them curious. You need to make them go, I want to find out what that's about. You also have to think, is what I'm putting forward relevant to this person? So, for example, if you're putting together website copy, people love to come up with creative, wordy headlines that read really well and kind of play on words. I think with website copy, for most businesses, especially small businesses, up front and center, who are you? What do you do? Okay. You've got to get that up high so people know. So their interest has been captured maybe through Google, or somebody's told them something. They land on the page and they see, who is this person or business? What do they do? And then the next thing, help me? Yeah. And then the next thing is to start putting in some contents that they can relate to. So talk about the problems that they have and make it feel as though you understand them. And this is the same for your blog articles, and it can apply to your social media as well. Start with a problem that they can relate to, and then start to paint that picture of what the solution is going to look like. So they're going to go from stressed and overwhelmed to relaxed, comfortable, happy, and financially secure. Things like that. And then, as I mentioned before, make sure you tell them what to do. Book a call, Download something for free, keep them on the journey with you.
Call
And
to
don't
action.
forget that a lot of people get afraid to tell people what to do. They don't want to come across as pushy, especially
Yes.
women in business. They say to me, "Oh, I don't want to overwhelm people. I don't want people to think I'm being pushy."
Yeah.
It's not you, it's your brand, and you have to separate that.
Yeah. So it's just so important to have that call to action, because
That's right.
that's the thing. It's like, oh, okay, so they do this, this, and this. How do I work with them? Like, what's next? Like, how do I get some more information on this? So that's the thing. We have a very, very good call to action. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you find that, look, people don't like to be sold to? We all know that. And so, but if you've got a problem that, you can solve somebody's problem, and you really want to be able to be clear on your messaging to get that out there, what would you say is the best way to be able to get that out? Would you say it's this call to action? Would it come down to really good copy? Would it be, is it, in your landing pages, your social media, or is it the fact that they've got to see you a certain amount of times before they will engage? Is there, because I know that there used to be this certain number of times you had to be seen for somebody to then purchase from you or engage with you or download your information. What do you think is how would you find, what is the actual number of many times you should be seen out there in social media?
They say, I think it was 7 and now it's 9. The fact is, it depends. And I've been doing a lot of research lately because I started as a copywriter and my business is evolving and I'm taking on more marketing as a much bigger picture.
Right.
You read a lot of things online. They say, boom,
Yeah.
this is what's going to work. Boom, this is what's going to work. No one thing is going to work. So there are a couple of points. You have to look at the growth of your business like a jigsaw puzzle. There are multiple pieces that you have to get in place, and a lot of those pieces have pieces within them. So it is going to take time. And then you have to think about the funnel, and you're going to have a lot of people who are aware of you, but never, ever, ever work with you. That's fine.
Yeah.
Then you're going to have people who are aware of you. They might not work with you, but they're going to recommend you to their friends.
Okay.
And so on and so forth. And then you get the people who are aware of you. They want to work with you, but they can't afford to. The bottom of the funnel is really small. The people who are aware of you want to work with you and have the money to spend, especially in today's economy.
Yes.
It's getting really tight. So you have to have, you probably can't see me doing all these hand motions. The top of your funnel has to be as wide as possible so that the bottom of your funnel is wide as well. And don't get hung up on thinking one thing is 100% going to work all of the time. You might do one thing and it gets you 2 clients suddenly because it was just a matter of right place, right time. But generally, it's the jigsaw that's going to get you what you need, and also investing in the right professionals to help you.
Yes. Totally agree with that. You have to spend money to make money, and you can't be an expert at everything. So I've always known that, my mentors have always said that to me: engage into the experts, bring them in, get the thing done right, and fast track it. I'm always about fast tracking. If I can get someone to do that for me, I know that job's done, tick, and I can then move on to the next thing. Because you're right, when you think about the amount of marketing that we're doing, I was going to say to you, is that people still reading long copy? Are they reading short copy? But then you've got website, you've got Facebook ads, you've got Instagram, you've got LinkedIn, you've got, Facebook, you've got podcasts. There is so much that you can market on now, and if you are good, if you do have a business, you really should be on literally all of those platforms. So that's a lot of content, and that comes down to kind of clever marketing as well. So yeah, it is important to make sure that you find that it's about tweaking for each one and regularly tweaking and seeing what works, what's not working, and, tweaking your marketing and your engagement out there as well.
Marketing is definitely a dark art and not a science, and there is always going to be trial and error involved. That's why it's good to work with somebody who has done trial and error on other clients and on themselves. I can guarantee if you're trying to grow your business right now, you probably need to be doing more marketing than you are. But the advantage is you can turn one piece of copy into multiple pieces of copy. So you don't need to write a blog and say, okay, I've written a blog. What do I do now? What you need to do now is turn that blog into 10 different social media posts, turn it into an email, turn it into a video, keep going, repurpose the same idea as many times as you can to get more volume out there, because you have to remember as well that not everybody is seeing the content that you're sharing every single time.
That's so true. And that's the thing. You think that you've got this one thing out there and you think everyone's going to see it, but they don't. Like they just don't. And if you want to get past your family and friends, it's like you've got to get right out there to, really target market your audience. So the repurposing, I think, is very clever. And I think that's something that has probably been my weakness. I've got, you have so much content out there. But if you go back and say, hey, we could take that and repurpose that newsletter into an Instagram story or, a blog or even a podcast. And that's a really good way of thinking about it. Because, like I said, that's something that I just haven't had a strength in. I haven't been repurposing. I've been putting a lot of content out there, but not repurposing it. So I think that's a clever move. Yeah,
you probably have articles that you wrote a year ago that are just as relevant and easy to share today, and it can save you a lot of time, especially if you have a team working with you.
Yes. Yeah, no, that's a really good point. So communicating your message, is it in a way how do you do that in a way that people see your value? And so they go from being interested into ready to purchase. And I know that that's a big step from here to here, and also comes down to the price of your product. But if you're working in a high ticket offer, for instance, you really need to make sure that you're ticking all the boxes along the way and you're explaining very clearly the value of that. So what would be a couple of tips that you would say to somebody to be able to show their value of what they're offering and then move from that interested into a purchasing client?
There's 3 different things I can think of off the top of my head to really build that trust with people. The first is simple, it's testimonials.
Yep.
A lot of people say, I don't have time to ask for testimonials. If you go through your inbox, you've probably got emails from people that say, hey, really fantastic work, well done. You don't have to name them. You can take that and turn it into a simple graphic testimonial and share it. You might want to quickly let them know, hey, can I use this as a testimonial? If they say no, you can just leave it anonymous or move on to something else. I quite often get told that I'm designing the website as well as writing the website, and I always say make sure you've got some testimonials, and people find that they do have plenty. The other one is case studies. If you can tell a story about a way you've helped people and how they went from this to this. And even though I'm a writer, the third thing to keep in mind is numbers. If you can say, I took somebody from 1 to 10 or 10 to 100 or 100 to 1,000 and grab a testimonial and break it into a longer case study, that is the evidence that people need. And probably if I'm going to say a fourth one, if you can do video, fantastic. Get somebody talking to camera about you if you have the time and the budget and the capabilities. That's really going to build that trust as the evidence that you're good to work with.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, excellent points. That's great. Well, thank you, Clea. It's been so great to have you on our show today and sharing all your wisdom. And like I said, I know how great you are with content and, your copywriting, because you've helped me along the way as well. And you're very, very clever and you've got those skills. And I've always said, find the people with the skills, because, when you find people with the skills pay the bills. So it just fast tracks everything, tweaks it for you. And I really think that we just should not just be focusing on the AI. I really believe, like we've been talking about today, is that it is so important to still really spend a lot of time on your messaging and your own personal copywriting, because the AI is good, but at the end of the day, nothing says more about your message than when you're being authentic and sharing it from your heart, and it becomes who you are, and because people will always see through that. So I think brilliant to have you on the show today, Clea. It's been really great. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. One more thing I wanted to mention is that AI doesn't have any loyalty to you, and it will create copy for you the same as another person. So be mindful that
somebody else could have the same content as you.
Absolutely the same. So always put your own touch on things.
So where can people find you, Clea? Because I know people are, one of the biggest things people are struggling with is copyright and messaging and cutting through all that noise out there and getting their message out there. So how can they work with you?
Great question. My website is very simple. It is freelancecopywriter.com.au, and my name is very Google friendly. So you can just Google Clea Jones and you'll probably be able to find me on LinkedIn, where I do tend to be quite active.
Yeah.
And there's also a bit of a special offer I've put together for your listeners. So if you go to freelancecopywriter.com.au/second-act, I think we're going to pop that in the show notes. There's a free content marketing checklist and a couple of other offers that are going to help you get started with the content you need to promote your business.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, a checklist like that, just to go through and say, yeah, am I doing all these things right, is fantastic. And not only that, Clea's won the Australian Small Business Awards. And what was that for? Was that best copywriting? What was that for?
That was in the sole trader category. And you won the year before, and I watched you on stage and I went, oh, I wonder if I can do that. So that was a big inspiration for me to really up the standard of my entry. And since then, I've helped a few people as well get into the finals. It's such an exciting feeling to get up on that stage. It is exciting.
But, that is because you are doing so well. So when you do win those awards, it's because you are one of the best in your industry. So, and I know that for a fact that you are. And I know that if we're going to put everything into the show notes about your business, and we'll definitely put that link in there where people can download the checklist as well. And not only that, people can work with you to get a strategy, a content strategy, but they can also work with you to help them create a full year's worth of content. And I mean, how great would that be to not have to worry every single week about what am I going to say, what am I going to write, what blog am I going to do? You're able to fast track all that for them and help them become really, really clear on their messaging and create the content for them, which I think is brilliant, because I know for a fact that will save you so much time creating that strategy as well. So for anyone that wants to engage with Clea, definitely click the link below and you'll be able to get in contact with Clea and work together. But thanks again, Clea. I know it's been great to have you on the show. I know that all those points that we covered today about AI and content creation and everything else is going to help so many people just starting out in business, or if they've already got their business up and running. So thanks again. Really been great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Speak to you soon. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in today. I really appreciate it. Like I've always said, there are so many podcasts out there that you can listen to, and the fact that you're here listening to this one, I am so grateful. So thank you so much. This podcast is all about taking center stage of your life in your second act. And your second act isn't a time to slow down. It's a call to action. It's your life and it's your rules. Thank you again. I really, really appreciate you. And if you think that anybody would benefit from this, please share and even tag me in at Angela Vassallo and subscribe. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Bye for now.